Hey, welcome back friends, TechDale here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Stealing Creation minigame. Now, Stealing Creation minigame is one of my personal favorites. I've always loved playing the game. It's just so deep, and you can literally do anything that you can do in all of RuneScape in a small little island. You can combat other people, you can gather, and you can craft. Same as you can throughout all of Gielinor, except it's all done in its own little ecosystem in a 20-minute game. Very fun in my opinion, but it also has some pretty good rewards to boot. Now, you don't actually need anything to start playing this game because you are going to be crafting and gathering all the items that you need on the island itself. And you also don't have any level requirements to play this game. If you are a member, you can play this at level 3 account with base 1 stats. I do personally recommend that you have base 40 stats just so that you can interact with a little bit more of the content, but you don't actually need those. If you want to interact with all of the content, you should get level 80 base stats, since you can do just about anything that you can in Gielinor. You are going to need level 80 all stats in order to interact with everything the way that you want to. I do also recommend that you play the game combatless with the Friends Chat Fast SC. I'll talk about that more later, but it just makes the game a little bit faster and more efficient. Now, the entire idea of this game is to gather as many points as you possibly can. You do also want to try to compete with the other team to get more points than them, although that is not necessary. It does give you an increase by 10% of your total points at the end of the game. It's just a small boost, and realistically you shouldn't really be worrying about what the other team is doing. You should just be trying to get as many points as you possibly can in order to beat the other team. The first thing that you can do for points is to gather clay from nodes. There are 5 different types of nodes. The first one is going to be fragments, which can be gathered by anybody. They are the lowest tier and give the lowest amount of points. But you can go all the way up to a tier 5 of node. These do require you to have specific levels in specific skills though. The swarms are going to require hunter, the rocks are going to require mining, the pools are going to require fishing, and the trees are going to require wood cutting. The higher the tier, the more levels that you need to actually gather from them. It is all multiples of 20 though, so you need 20 for tier 2, 40 for tier 3, 60 for tier 4, and 80 for tier 5. Basically, the goal is just to gather from the highest tier that you possibly can. The next thing that you're going to want to do is to craft those into be usable items. Now, I do want to mention that you can make things that will help you gather as well. That means you can make nets for the swarms and so on. It's all pretty obvious when you are crafting. You are going to want to craft the highest tier of clay that you can as well, because this gives you more points along with the gathering giving you more points as well. The wonderful thing about this game is you can literally craft just about anything that you can in regular Gielinor. If you have a high enough cooking level, you can make food. If you have a high enough herb lore level, you can make potions, so on and so forth. It is a fun way to play, just to try to kill other players sometimes. It's not the most efficient way to play, but it is an option in this game if you really are looking for something to do. And the last thing that you could do is deposit clay in your base. Now, this is going to be where you start. All you have to do is click on the center table and everything in your inventory will be deposited into the base. You can always pick it up for a deduction in your points, but this is going to give you 4 times the amount of points that you get from gathering or from crafting these items. This is definitely where the majority of your points come from, so you are going to want to make sure to deposit everything that you make at the end of the game or periodically through the game, since seeing as how there is combat, it is possible to lose your items through this game, so you're going to want to make sure to deposit them occasionally so that you don't end up with almost no points throughout the entire game. The 2 ways of depositing in your base are to just go back to your starting location and click on the table as I just mentioned, or if you actually make a familiar with your summoning skill, you can automatically teleport everything back to your base using one of its special moves. Before we get any further, I do want to talk about the rewards from this minigame. As you can see, there are a lot of different potential rewards. Realistically, there's only 4 worth mentioning though. The first 2 are going to be the Artisan's outfit pieces and the Fletcher's outfit pieces. They just give you additional 6% increased XP for crafting and fletching respectively. but they do require 600 points to get the entire set, 500 for each of the 5 pieces and 100 for the additional add-on. That means you're going to need about 1200 points if you are planning on getting both of these outfit sets. I would recommend getting these before doing anything else with your points, just because of how valuable they are and that this is the only way of actually obtaining these items. The other two are right at the top. The Volatile Tool and the Proto Tool are both decent options. They just give you bonus experience in a random skill. The Proto Tool can be selected which skill you're going to be getting it in. All you have to do is collect your Proto Tool, which is the first item here, and then you can choose between 7 different items. You can get a hammer for smithing or construction experience, a harpoon for fishing experience, and I'm sure you can figure out which one does what. This does give you 24,000 experience per item, so let's say you want mining experience, get 3 proto tools, 3 pickaxes, and you get about 72,000 bonus experience in mining. The other option is the Volatile Tool. The Volatile Tool is, as the name suggests, a little bit more volatile. You don't actually get to choose which skill you're getting your bonus experience in, unfortunately. But it does have the upside of giving you an additional 20% experience. That means if you get the Volatile Tool and let's say it randomly transforms into the needle, which is what you happen to want for crafting experience, you can claim that crafting experience for 29,000 bonus experience in crafting and then continuously recharge it as much as you want. It doesn't actually revert into a different type of tool. So if you are getting a large amount of experience from this, or you don't really care quite as much about which experience you get, the Volatile Tool is going to be the way to go. But if you are just planning on doing this for 100, 200,000 bonus experience, I would recommend the Proto Tool. My personal strategy to get the maximum amount of reward credits per hour is going to be going to Fast SC Friends Chat. This is a no combat way of playing Stealing Creation. The reason why this is the fastest way is because points after 20,000 points in game actually decrease the amount of rewards that you get exponentially. That means you could get 100,000 points and get barely more reward as you do get 20,000 points. So the idea is that we are going to gather the clay as fast as possible from the map just to force the game to end, and then we're going to go and start a new game. Usually you can finish up the game within 12 to 13 minutes. If you have a very good team, you can get up down to 10 minutes or so. But realistically, 5 games per hour is pretty realistic here, meaning that you can get over 100 points per hour. As comparison to just playing it with randoms, you're probably looking at about 50 to 60 points per hour. Now the first thing that I personally do is I grab a fragment and turn it into the tool that I want to be gathering for. For me, that is going to be whatever the tier 5 is, because I have over level 80 stats in every single skill. So all I do is just transform it into a tier 1 tool and run to the tier 5 of whatever it is and start trying to gather from that. The reason why I actually make the tool first is because it just makes it more efficient to try to gather that tier 5. You can choose to try to do it with your bare hands, but it just takes so long and is so unreliable that you may end up sitting there for 3 minutes without getting a single clay if you are planning on doing that. Luckily, with the Fast SC Friends Chat, it is a little bit easier because people are more helpful just trying to gather the clay as fast as possible. They'll give you a C5 clay, or they'll help you out a little bit if you ask for it. The next thing that I do is, as soon as I get my first tier 5 clay, whether it be from pickpocketing somebody on the other team that has given me permission to pickpocket them, or it may be from getting it myself, I run to the kiln and make myself a tier 5 of that tool that I need. So let's say it's a tier 5 pool, I'm going to make myself a tier 5 harpoon, and then I run back to the location of it and gather up an entire inventory of tier 5 clay. Now, if you are the first person to get the tier 5 clay, I do recommend you help everybody else out, because it just makes for faster games yourself, which means that you are going to be getting more points in the long run. After that, you want to make every single tier 5 tool. There are going to be 4 of them, so make sure you make all 4. And then I personally decide to make summoning scrolls for the rest of the game. Everything else I'm gathering is just basically very easy, just AFKing after that point. It takes about 2 minutes to get to this point, and then I don't really have to worry about the game for the rest of the time, as long as I'm paying slight amount of attention just to make sure to switch over whenever any of these nodes deplete. I shouldn't have to worry too much. The other option is going to be making runes, which is another stackable item. Basically, you just want to get any stackable items so that you aren't using up all your inventory space trying to make food, running back to your base, and depositing it. You just want to have something stackable in your inventory so you can continuously gather and craft clay as fast as possible. Then, when everything has been gathered from the map, it will start a 1 minute time, which will basically deplete until you get down to 0, and then the game will end. In this 1 minute, you do have plenty of time to run back to your base and deposit everything that you had in your inventory, including any items that you have chosen to equip. One little side note is I do recommend you either have the attack opponents option as completely turned off in your settings menu, or to equip a bow just so you don't accidentally attack somebody else and get banned from the friends chat. Also, make sure you work until the end, that way you get the fastest games for you and everybody else in the game. It really is depressing to see people standing in the base when you're still working trying to finish out the game, and you know that they could be helping you to finish out the game. Besides that though, very easy minigame. If you choose to do it with combat, it's a lot of fun. If you choose to do it without, it is very efficient, and I personally still find it fun. All in all though, wonderful minigame, glad that it's still in the game. If you guys enjoy it though, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Let me know that this is something that everybody enjoys doing. Also, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know how many stealing creation points you have, or if this is something that you are just now hearing about. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel to see all of my future content. As always though, have a good one.